All right. We are starting the program here. We are out doing our thing. We are out doing our thing here. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world. We are live with you here tonight. We are live with you here tonight. I know they thought we'd be taking a day off. No, we have not done so. We have not done so. Let me see here. I'm looking for some folks here. Looking for some folks here.
Thank you for being here tonight. My name is Brendan News, Superintendent of Best Buy.
All right, Derek, we got you here on Zoom, brother.
Accompanied by President McLean from the CDC. Shout out to all the
For my folks on Zoom and whatnot, just turn your cameras around. We need to see the other people. We don't need to see y'all. We just need to see the other folks. Okay, there you go. All right. For my folks who join us on Zoom, we don't need to see you all. We just need to see the other folks there. Let me go ahead and get that up and going here while I'm at it. So we are live in the place there. I've got a building for that. Okay, you're just at the stage there, sir. That's all we need to do. We just need to do that. Okay. I've got the audio turned off for you all here right now. I just wanted you all to see what was going on there. That, yeah, the Assemblyman has shown up tonight. That's good. We've decided to assemble for him. I had a special party favor reserved for him here, but for some strange reason, or maybe not so strange reasons, they have not taken care of that. So, they have not taken care of that. Okay, I'm not sure which one of these phone numbers is for them too. As a matter of fact, I need to work on that there too, by the way. All right, there you go here. Give us a few moments here, folks. Okay. All right, there you go there. No, they are doing some talking there right now. That's okay. We'll be doing a little bit of talking there for them in a moment. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and unmute that real quick. Let me get them to unmute it for me so we can okay. I'm wondering what my special party favor here is, as a matter of fact. They're asking me if they've gotten there yet. So, in any case, I'm letting y'all know that, yeah, we are burning the midnight oil on this, but we are out here. We are definitely out here right now. Just not happy that everything that I wanted to do here tonight is not available. That's not good news for me. That's not good news. Okay, everybody who comes on Zoom there, make sure your cameras are pointed at the stage, not yourselves, because we want to make sure that we give them their 15 minutes. I don't know why they think we need to see them pointed at the stage, not yourselves. You're not the person we're trying to see tonight. Okay. My folks are letting me know that they are there. That's good. Okay. There you go. Okay. Let me go ahead and undo that here. Let me put you back over there. Okay, you got filters on. Make sure you don't have any filters on there. Some of y'all are trying to keep your face, y'all are trying to obscure your backgrounds, but you want to make sure you don't have filters on. All right, there you go.
Yeah, just like that.
All right, you're good. Now just leave everything just like that, folks. Just leave everything just like that. Don't move everything all around. Don't do silly things. All right, folks. Well, Mr. Brisport has arrived. Mr. Brisport is there, and we're checking to see if my party favors have arrived as well. So I'm checking on that now as we speak. Checking on that now as we speak. So I want somebody, I'm going to go see if I can send my dude to go check on that to see if the rest has arrived there. So, yeah, so they thought it was going to be a nice, quiet evening. Well, they were only halfway correct about that. It's going to be an evening. It'll certainly be that. Now, we did go ahead and speak to some folks here, and I've been speaking to some other folks here earlier today. Some of them are happier than others are. Oh, as a matter of fact, I think my party favor is on the phone here. One moment. Text me pictures or you just emailed them? Did you say he? Okay. All right. I think they have it. I think they have it. Okay, folks. Right now, there's not a whole lot to see about that. They'd have to get a little bit closer for that, but not just yet. I wanted you to see that we're there. Might have to have y'all get. I might send y'all a little bit closer here in just a moment. Let me make sure I got y'all turned on here, as a matter of fact. Yeah, everybody's audio is turned on there. Okay. Well, y'all's audio is supposed to be turned on. Make sure you have everything muted for that. Let me make sure that they're okay, because folks may do silly things here in a moment.
And basically, the survey was making you aware of the deadline, and number two, that it's an easy process to navigate. And I do think that the link out there will take you to some food education programs that you haven't known about if you're thinking about the school option. So with that said, if you are interested in taking the survey out tonight, we definitely if not, we will definitely not just online, but also in person, like
Okay, very glad to hear that, sir.
any questions about the Thank you for bringing that question. This terrorism against thank you so much. I appreciate you saying question. I'll be back to you in 1 second.
Okay. Here's what I really want to do here. I'm going to see if I can. You all are not seeing that. You all are seeing that right now, but there's something else here because there's something going on outside. I wanted to make sure we were ready for that. Wanted to make sure we were ready for that. Okay.
Excellent question. So the question was specifically when we see this currently with the campus is all a pre-K and a 4K program in the public ground school.
Okay, so that's what they're doing there right now. We're going to be talking to them here in a few moments. Nice suits they have for that too, by the way, isn't it? Let me see if I can talk to one of our people because I want you all to see. I think my party favor has arrived. Yes, I think my special gift has arrived outside. They're late.
On the district level, we have
Okay. The audio is kind of messed up here because of the reception for it. Now, where is Mr. Brisport at? That's what I'm really looking for here. Okay. Okay, I'm going to see if we can get them a little bit closer here because the audio is not really all that great. Want to see if we can get that a little bit better there. The audio is not fantastic for that. I want to see if we can try to get that a little bit better for us. So see if I can get us a little bit closer for that. I know it sounds like kind of like Max Headroom right now, but wanted to make sure we were present for that. That's Mr. Jabari there speaking. Okay, let me mute one of these.
But I will also flag for you and anyone else that is from this. There was an organizing meeting around this that's happening by a group of friends and families who are wrongfully convicted. It's happening actually right now. It's like a partnership with a Black social justice organization, Focus on the Fall Movement, and a lot of other movements in that space. That's not too far. It's at 1200 D Street, and it's started at 6 p.m. tonight. And organizing around, they've been talking about sending buses up to Marcy, pressure the governor around this and all that. So if you are here for a lot of this, we just share that meeting is happening right now, and it is just on the road at 1200 D Street. But this tonight's about this to me about it, I think. So we're going to close, but just wanted to reiterate what's so on Monday night, there will be a joint public hearing for the community to actually weigh in on the actual proposal. If you leave, if you sign in, if you let your email address, you can definitely add your mail list where we can send you the documents that there is about 7-page document that explains why this file is being proposed to be closed, and it will talk to you about the history of 25, and then this is what we want to do moving forward. It's the PEP, which is a parent education policy, most of these 25. So on Monday, we're gonna have that meeting. On the 27th, we will have a CC meeting with CC. We'll be looking at the zones for PS25. So each school, elementary school in this district has a school zone. That's like one of them. And what we want to
They're talking about schools up there and whatnot. Folks love doing that because they love talking about funding. Meanwhile, they're out here doing whatever the hell they want to on the streets with them. So let me see if I can get this up and going here.
81 and right to 6.7. So that discussion will happen on the 27th.
Okay. Let me go ahead and show y'all something else here. By the way, this is happening out front there. I decided to go ahead and get a digital billboard truck for Mr. Jabari. What? So, hey, Mr. Brisport, support Robert Brooks and the anti-black hate crime law. Damn! So what you see on your screens there, that's a picture showing you what's outside of the building that Assemblyman Brisport is at right now. So while he's in there talking, I just thought you all should know that Jason has sent him a special present with love from Louisiana. So that digital truck, go ahead and see if you can go a little bit closer to it, because it wraps around the whole thing. There's a signage on the side and there's signage on the back of it. So see if you can get a little bit closer to that there, because there's signage on the back and there's signage on the side. I know you have to cross the street, but I want folks to see what it looks like on the back of it also. So as you all can see, yes, sir, Assemblyman Brisport is there, but then again, so are we. So I just thought y'all see that. See if you can go over there. Don't get yourself run over. If you do, whoever that attorney is who calls and, whoever the slip and fall attorney is in New York.
Okay.
To unpack over the results. Let me go ahead and make sure I've muted everybody else there. I don't need them. The only person I need, though, I do need one other person there. So I wanted y'all to see what's happening there.
Can we hold this while I get this? Oh, it's okay.
And so they organize this, so I'm gonna get you plugged into the work they're doing. So I mean, they have the meeting right now. I told them I was coming here, otherwise I would be there. But I've been in contact with them. If you want to go by 12:15, I can forward an email to people if you want. But we're soon.
Now, what time is that again?
6 p.m. So there we go. Get straight in. I don't know if they have set ending. It'll probably be going for a bit. One of the groups held a meeting that ended up being like 2.5 hours long on Saturday. Summer 12, and they'll be there again. So people have a lot to say, a lot of different ideas. I know people have talked about things. They want to have people go down to DC to the inauguration to protest. They want to go up to Marcy Correctional itself to do stuff. Going to question the governor, a few different things. So I think they might be spitballing different ideas about how to respond. And then at the state level, we're pushing for a lot of things. But I think one of our biggest pushes is to get the entire facility shut down, because what we've been hearing from a lot of people from the incarcerated there is that kind of violence is like, I have Dr. Brooks was caught camera, but
it's very prevalent. It happens all the time.
So we're just saying that let's close down Marcy Detention Center.
So just officially, where do you stand as far as the prosecution of these cops? Are you calling for them to be arrested, prosecuted?
Yes.
For their crimes? And then also, where do you stand for an anti-black hate crime bill similar to what the Asians got in 2020, 2021?
Absolutely.
To where if anybody of Negro descent, Black descent is murdered unjustly, like we see with Robert Brooks, Sonia Massey, I mean, the list goes on. I don't think
Right.
Things that's happened.
Right.
Nearly, correct. Our brother Nearly Jordan.
Right.
The bill should have them prosecuted. They shouldn't get immunity under the law because if you understand, during the second term of Obama's administration, there was an FBI memo released stating that various white supremacist organizations have infiltrated law enforcement throughout America. And Obama's administration, and he had a so-called black state attorney general, and they never went after him. So now here we are years later, almost a decade later, and we see this all the time. And it's becoming too much. We don't want to, respond in a non-appropriate way, but we're trying to handle this as civilized as we can. So what we're ultimately pushing for, not just in the state, but nationwide, that we get an anti-black crime bill passed. That would pretty much prevent these cops from doing what they did to Brother Brooks in that prison and many others, because this is not fair.
Yeah. Okay. I'm really interested in that. I have
you support the murderers being charged with murder and nothing less.
Yeah.
Okay. And as far as the anti-hate crime bill, do you support that? Would you support?
I haven't seen one. I like the idea a lot. I guess I'll look at the one that was done.
Mr. Brisport, I think what he's asking is for you to push it. What we're asking for is for you to create an anti-black hate crime bill and push that. That's what we want to see from you, because I get your mail all the time. And if you want to continue to get my vote, you're a couple years older than me. So if you want to continue to get my vote, this is what we're gonna need from you guys. We don't even care how far it goes. I just want to know that you're on the side of justice. So let's get that man, not just him, because we're here about talking about a school. And that's great. But these kids are going to grow up and enter into a world in which they're going to encounter racism and white supremacy. So what are you going to do to change that? And that's basically what we're asking.
For the hate crime bill,
Yes, sir.
Just to be totally
Anti-black hate crime bill.
the anti-black hate crime bill, I'll be totally frank. I thought it was a crime to. So I'm gonna.
Are you talking?
Stop.
I'm talking specifically black Americans.
It has the agents where if you look at them cross-eyed, they can bring you up on charges talking about they've been insulted. You can't bump into them. You can't even yell at them. And we are hurt, harmed, deleted more than any other group. But everybody else is have anti-defamation, and everybody else has protection. We need protected status because we cannot continue what started in slavery time going on right now here in 2025.
Right. Okay, so I'll take a look at the one. I'll find the one that was for Asians and see if there's.
We want an anti-black.
But
demand one too.
we should look like
Because we are the lion's share of people who are targeted, not only online, but also offline as well.
And again, we're here talking about schools and children growing up. There's a baby right here. What's the point of her growing up if she's going to enter into a world that we entered into? And you have the power to change that. That's all we're asking you to do.
You have a full support.
Yes, and you will have our full support. Have the courage to do that. Push that forward, and we'll back you 100%.
Okay, I'll find the one that's the anti-Asian hate crime bill and see how we can.
Yes,
I'd like for us to check back with him.
Foundation of Black American Descent.
No, my family is Guyanese.
Guyanese?
Correct. Okay,
So
that's fine.
we need this here because unarmed people are being harmed all the time. Black people are being harmed all the time, unarmed, unjustified. And it doesn't matter whether people have a criminal background or not. That is not for any Tom, Dick, and Harry, whether they are a policeman, a correctional officer, or some so-called heroic citizen like Daniel Penny coming along and doing something to an unarmed Black person. This has got to stop. We've had enough of this since slavery.
Certainly, we have the civil rights movement, gentlemen. So fight for similar things. We have the Black Panthers. They fought for similar things. So I was handling like private housing or public housing, and I've seen the most heinous type of conditions. I mean, the stairway door was jammed. You can't even open it. a bunch of urine, thick matter all throughout there, and this is public house. You understand? So it's like we haven't say some make progress. Generations, they find a way to degrade it.
They
break it
move
down.
the goalposts every time we make any kind of advancement, and we have got to draw the line right here. We have got to draw the lines.
They should have at least arrested them, put them, if they're gonna get lawyers, if they're gonna post bill, then post bill. But they didn't even arrest them. So like how they didn't initially arrest Daniel Penny.
Yep.
You understand? There had to be some type of public outcry in order for him to be prosecuted. You understand? So we see this as a common play. We see this as a common pattern, and it has to stop. And we just here because you're an elected official in the community, and we want to voice our opinions. And we're looking for your help sincerely and genuinely.
It's so important that you know that we are serious about this, and we're coming to you because, as he says, you are an official. You've been elected. We are the constituents, and we're telling you what we need, what we want, and what is absolutely necessary.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Well,
And
I
I'm,
warned
to
you
be
all
clear, I'm not trying to swerve anybody or do anything. I have not seen I don't know what the language of the anti-Asian one is, so I'll look at that and then see what we can do to make one that's.
There's got to be definite penalties for hurting us, for harming us, for deleting us, for killing us, for no good
Talking about deleting
reason.
us, what in the
And
world?
and then we turn around and the people who have harmed us are hailed as heroes. This has to stop now.
So about mandatory minimum sentencing, that type of language in the bill. You understand? If you of us, if you beat us and we didn't die on the spot, something like happened with Robert Brooks, but he ended up dying the next day, that is enough to get them a minimum of 25 to life with no parole. We have to get serious about the kind of thing.
And take away their pensions too.
That is correct. All of the above. Sort of like what Senator Schumer is pushing for, for there to be some type of legislation against any hate speech that is being anti-Semitic. We want all of that and more because we historically in this country, all right, we have been harmed. We have been attacked.
It's larger than anybody else's Holocaust. Went on centuries longer than anybody else's Holocaust. And it is still being done today. And then when people are already in law enforcement, they get a slap on the wrist and get moved to someplace else where they can repeat those heinous acts, which are totally white supremacist rituals.
And sometimes they have qualified immunity, so they can just get off scot-free and squeal. But there's a bill to end qualified immunity for police officers. There's a lot of things that we're working on to add to the list of things to look into the anti-Black hate crime law, but we're doing things to get more people out of prisons so that they're not even subjected to the corrections officers, ways to we're investing in communities to send fewer people over there. And I just, y'all know if y'all in my district, I represent, Bed-Stuy, Ocean, Brownsville, so I represent some of the parts of New York City that send the most people to these places. So I'm always looking for ideas and suggestions for ways to keep people.
Well, this is the big idea we want you to get a hold of because we all are tired of being killed and ignored when we are harmed. And people act like this is the natural course of things. It is not the natural course of things for us to be kicked, choked, beaten, and killed.
And the murderers go free. They're not even arrested. And why every time, if law is supposed to operate the way law is written, then they should have been at least arrested. They weren't even arrested. Governor Hochul have visited the facility where it happened, but what about these cops? And we know the more time they have, the more time they are able to draw an argument, a legal argument. So if they are inevitably arrested, they can, have a good case.
If anybody here have been caught on video doing
correct,
they did.
And Brother Brisport too. Another thing too, we're aware that Letitia James recused herself from this, and we don't like that.
It's because her office was already defending 4 of them on something else.
That's even
it was in a position we could not be represent.
Now Letitia with the same thing with that, like she asks for our vote. Now our vote, as you've seen with this past election, is going to come at a very high price. So if they want our vote, they're going to have to do something specifically for us. Now, what we're asking, before we do this, I'm going to tell you this. When you walk outside this building today, you're going to see a billboard that we put together that's calling for you to support and create an anti-black hate crime bill.
Mhm.
You're going to see that as soon as you walk outside. Now, again, this is not an attack on you.
Mhm.
What we're saying is this is the price of our votes.
Mhm.
Our votes are going to be very expensive. We're not the people from the 60s. No disrespect to them. We love them, but we need more.
Mhm.
Because again, we're in a school, we're talking about children, bringing children up in school. What's the point of educating these children if they're going to be slaughtered in the streets? So we need to stop that now.
And our votes are a transactional experience.
Absolutely.
You cannot take our votes for granted.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's why come
We are, and that's exactly,
That's exact. Yes. Yes.
not going to take
Yes.
votes for granted.
Yes.
Without
Yes.
us
Yes.
demanding what we are requesting, what we need, and what we deserve.
And what we
No
want.
tangibles, no black folk.
Mhm.
Right, no vote. Yeah, and if Brisbane don't do it right, he's gonna lose too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, are there any other politicians that feel the same way as you do?
Am I gonna be in your video? When it's up?
Go ahead.
State Senator Salazar runs the Committee on Corrections, and she is leading the letter to call for the closure of the facility and has also made numerous statements about it. Can I give out some cards we need? to
Yeah,
have here?
because I was gonna say, I'm so sorry. I'm
Yeah.
I'm Principal Malcolm, the principal of Mediba Prep. So this was a meeting. We're going to school. The safety agent, everyone has to leave at 7 o'clock. So I have to ask everyone to leave, to start leaving at
Thank
this
you
time.
so much for letting me have this experience here, because it's important
Thank you.
for elected officials to hear from constituents, to hear exactly what we need.
Yeah.
Our schools are important, but our lives are more important than
definitely
these
agree.
schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Lives.
Yeah. And I
and I'm saying that we just wanted to know if you could have any follow up. Said you were gonna look into
Yeah.
things, these matters. We just want to know, are you gonna follow up as well? How we can actually have that follow up tangibly.
Yeah, I guess if any of you wants to email me, I'll have one of your emails then, so then we can
Yes.
have a meeting.
We got-
to talk about it.
Which one? Open and constant.
Once one or? Okay, great.
Well,
Thank you.
because I only got 5 minutes left.
I think that's enough there right now. I want my folks, I'm probably going to have them go back outside here in a minute and go see if they can take a picture of that for us. Probably going to have them go outside here in just a minute and see if they can take a picture of that. So if anybody's wondering, hey, Jason, what are you doing? This is what I'm doing. Snowstorms coming through, cataclysms, general anarchy and chaos. New Year is started. This is what I did with my first week of the new year. This is what I've done with my first week of the new year. So I'm at work about this. I'm at work about this right now. As you can see, I've been burning the midnight oil. Spent a bunch of damn money for them to be late, but we're going to work on that too. Matter of fact, I want to see if we can go get that again there, because like I said, that was all I really needed. That was all I really needed there. I want us to see if we can go get some more of that is what I want. I want us to see if we can go get some more of that. That's what I'm looking for here. Let me see. Did I send you the link to it? I don't think I did, actually. Let me see if I can get them one here. Telling them I want them to go back outside and see if we can I want them to go back outside so I can go get some more footage of that damn thing that I grossly overpaid for, but I want to see if we can go get that here. Need my folks to join me on Zoom for that here while I'm at it. Give me just a moment here. I need to shake some trees right quick. Okay, you need to turn sideways, brother. Okay, turn sideways, sir. Okay. There you go. Okay. Let's go ahead and turn that back on. So this is live from Brooklyn. Promises made is promises kept. So as you all can see, yeah, we lighten up. We making things a little bright over there. We're making things a little bright over there. I can go ahead. Let me zoom in on this just a little bit so you can see that a little bit more. But yeah, this is a little bit special that I made there for it. Promises made is promises kept. By the way, if you're wondering, Jason, all y'all did was show up. I did a little bit more than show up there. So something for the kids. This for the kids. As you can see, it covers all the way around it. So just in case there was any ambiguity, just in case anybody was unsure there was any ambiguity, as a matter of fact, let me see if I can get another one up on here. Just in case there was any ambiguity, let me go ahead and see if I can get it off for yourself, sir. You don't need to be looking at yourself. You need to be looking at everything but yourself. Okay. Okay, folks, if you got phones, you got filters on your phones and whatnot, you are not ready for prime time here. So let's help you get your lives together. So if you all were wondering what I was doing with Jason, what are you doing? What are you making happen there and whatnot? Okay, I'm doing that. I'm doing that. So if anybody was asking, are you just watching the news? No, I'm not just watching it. What can you do from a few states away? Actually, I can do quite a bit from a few states away, actually. I can actually do quite a bit. I'm a little displeased. Okay, I think you got your life together over there. We'll see. All right, there you go. Okay, so we got them in stereo vision.
I'm not with it.
Folks are learning how to use their cell phones. So we got them in stereo vision out there in Brooklyn. What's the weather like out there? It's cold as a son of a gun. That's what it is. We brought some lights and some heat for them. Brought some lights and some heat for them out there. So the folks came out of the school there and they're like, "Oh hell, what the hell going on? This is my contribution. On top of everything else, this is my contribution." Don't be surprised if I have these following folk around, by the way. Ain't that right, Derek? Don't be surprised if I got that following you around. Just in case you were thinking that was going to be the case, or you might go a little bit further there. Don't be surprised if I have one of these following you around, Mr. Eric Dillon. Might have to have one following you around. Don't be surprised if I have one in Albany. Matter of fact, don't be surprised if I have 5 or 6. As a matter of fact here, not just one, because that might not get your attention good enough. Don't be surprised if I have 5 or 6 hanging out there. Damn! What? So I might just do that. Just in time for the holidays, because I would want people to know exactly where you stand or exactly where you don't stand. And do not be surprised, folks, if one of these is sitting in the future for Mr. Bailey. Mr. Bailey in particular, don't be surprised if one is sitting in the future for him. Don't be surprised if we got one in the future waiting on him. So if anybody's asking what I'm doing, if you're asking where I'm at, if you're asking what I'm getting accomplished, hey, Jason, what are you doing? I've been organizing this all the way since yesterday, so I guess having all this practice and doing it kind of helps when you can get folks to show up when they're supposed to. When you can get that done. So this will be here for a little while longer. I wouldn't want them to, the folks in the neighborhood to not forget that Mr. Brisport was there. And I wouldn't want the folks in the neighborhood to forget exactly what we had to say to him while he was there. And I wouldn't want him to feel singled out. I would not want Mr. Brisport to feel singled out. So there's a few other people who are going to find that out as well. So I want to make sure we spread this around. I wouldn't want him to feel singled out. So there's a few other folks out there who need to know that too, by the way. Let me go ahead and take a screenshot of that. We'll go ahead and take a screenshot of that there real quick. That's really all I need. All right, folks, well done. Well done. We're going to see about chopping this up here in a little bit. Got our brothers out there on the scene. Appreciate y'all helping with this.
Hey, what's up, brother?
On stage. Nice to meet you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap that up there. Let me go ahead and see if I can get a graphic up here for you all. Let me go ahead and see if I can do that. Let me go ahead and see if I can do that real quick. Kind of doing this on the spot tonight, folks. I'm kind of doing this on the spot tonight, so you'll have to bear with me for a few moments. I'm kind of doing this on the spot tonight. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot happening, but I'm trying to get this done. Probably going to go ahead and open up Zoom for you all here in just a moment. Probably going to go ahead and open up the Zoom here for you all here in just a moment. So that, so you all can go ahead and chime in if you want to here. Where's that color at for it? Okay. I've got trials and tribulations going on over here. I got trials and tribulations happening. Let me go ahead and post up the Zoom link here in the chat room. Let me go ahead and post up the Zoom link here in the chat room for you all. Let me go ahead and do that real quick so you all can go ahead and speak to us. Jason, what are you doing about this? You saw Robert Brooks. What are you going to do? I'm doing this. I'm doing this. So I don't give a damn what this is what I've lived by. Like I've told you, I don't care what anybody else is doing or what anybody else is not doing. I don't care what they're making happen or what they're not making happen. I don't care who is speaking and who is not speaking. I am not going to let what somebody else is or is not doing dictate what I do or don't do. If I'm the only man on the wall, I'm going to be there. But I'm not by myself. Let me be very, very clear about that. I am not by myself, not by a long shot. But I do want you to understand that those are the rules. Even if you are the only person there, I expect you to be standing. You might be the only one there. Understood. I expect you to be standing. I expect you to be standing even if you're the only one. You got to be there. So you don't have to do everything, but I expect you to do everything that you can. You don't have to do everything, but I expect you to do everything that you can. You don't have to do it all, just do everything you can. Okay, let me go ahead and get this up here. Go ahead and throw the Zoom link up there at the top of it, because I got a few words I want to say here as well. Once I get this up and going, I'm going to have a few things to say about that. It's late, it's cold, a whole lot is going on, but we're not letting that be an opportunity to stop us. Oh yeah, and one more thing, that does register to people. That does register to people when they see that, by the way, you going to make time for this. By the way, we're looking where folks are at. Your constituency is showing up for you here. Your constituency is showing up for you here. Other folks to get out there and run their mouths, we're going to run the streets. Let these other folk get out there and run their mouths, we're going to run the streets. Where is Kathy Hochul while we're at it here, as a matter of fact? Where is she at? Where is she at? Where is she hiding at? And where are the others? Because a lot of them are thinking to themselves, oh, don't worry, we're going to be safe. Not going to be necessarily as safe as you tell yourselves it's going to be. Not necessarily as you tell yourselves. Don't worry, who's watching? What's his name? Talking about he doesn't have a position. Okay, I'm very glad to hear that. At least let that be on the record. At least let that be on the record that you don't have a position. Mr. Assemblyman Bailey, let that be, at least let that be on the record that you don't have a position. Let me explain to you all why I'm doing this like I'm doing this tonight. Let me explain to you why that is. So many of you have discounted. I mean, this is the problem with the internet. You can't just be fanboys and fangirls. You have to actually be activists. And I don't just mean activists in the noise making sense. I mean activists in the strategist sense. So many of you discount the power of telling, of being able to properly quantify events. The reason why history has changed in the last 20 years is because we started getting to work to get everybody on the record. You can't change things when you're confused. When you don't know who's with you or who's against you, you're confused. Right now, we forcing people to show their paperwork. You want to know what showing paperwork looks like? It looks like this. Just this quickly right here. You showed up, a Brisport, paperwork check. Just that quickly, just that easily, just like that. Showed up, a paperwork check. Paperwork check. Oh, you know, legislation just in. I ain't seen that better than paperwork check. Jason, we're going to pull up and paperwork check. Right there on the spot. Hey, paperwork. Oh, we ain't taking no excuses. Paperwork. Jamal Bailey. Paperwork check. I ain't take a position. Paperwork's bad. Your paperwork's... Dude, you can't hit the yard and your paperwork is dirty. You can't hit the yard and you ain't got no paperwork. You can't be on the yard. It goes just like that. It goes just like that. Paperwork, or you can't walk the yard. It's just that simple. Go sell up PCO. You cannot get out here on the yard moving among the people and your paperwork is bad. You can't get out here on the yard and your paperwork is bad. In the chat room, Paris needs to give me a call up on Zoom. I want y'all to understand, I am not some guy who just goes around and, we're going to have a YouTube video. No, Paris, I need you to get on Zoom now. I need Paris on Zoom now. Let me go ahead and get Lito here on Zoom. Lito, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, big dog? I'm up in New York right now, and I just see the movement, and I'm starting to figure out how you really putting this together. And I'm getting the idea of how we could all kind of chain link the whole movement throughout the whole country, as far as having people do them pull-ups like you making it happen.
Well, let me just tell you, in the case, there are certain things that I think being strategic about. Dr. King was the same way. Malcolm was the same way. I think New York is really pivotal. It's the media center of the world. It gets a very large amount of attention. It's a place that touts itself as, being Democrat and, we're sensitive to black folk and, quote, minorities and things. California was pivotal because of the same elements. And that was a great chance to take advantage of that because they tried the lip service thing and they didn't expect us to show up and say, you're going to have to put some work on that lip service. That was when they started hemming and hawing, and it was a fantastic win because it forced them to finally sit up here and say, yeah, let me try to pull this fast one on you at the last moment. That was pivotal. That was critical. You got Gavin Newsom now trying to figure out what he going to do as a result. Kamala Harris very worried about that. So yeah, around the country, that's great. That's wonderful. Right now, I really think we just have a unique opportunity in New York. So rather than spread resources around 50 different places, I think it would actually be more beneficial to do like we did in California and concentrate all your resources in just one place and make as hard of a push as you can there, as opposed to making little pushes all across the country. So I think where you are right now, if I thought Louisiana had a better football to run, I'd be putting the focus here. If I thought Atlanta had a better football to run, I'd be putting the focus there. You all got a better football to run right now. Y'all got a better one. So I want to rally the team where you all are at. You got a much better football to run.
Okay. Do you think well, I actually know the message is doing what it needs to be doing, and it's weird that like you mentioned what you were saying about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, because I literally was speaking on some of the enlightenment that I'm getting from you and the connection between what you get done and what may have been missing from then to now. So, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be strategic about that. I mean, you didn't ever hear about Dr. King in North Dakota. You didn't hear about him in Wisconsin. There's a reason. It wasn't because there were no black folk there. Remember, Malcolm X's family was from Nebraska.
Right.
You ain't never heard Malcolm X nor Dr. King in Nebraska. Malcolm was from there. So, like I say, it's just it's as much, if you want to get attention, you have to be strategic about it. So there's the whole thing about it. It's not that our people don't have needs in various places. We do. But for certain things there, being strategic means you have to make a decision. And I think right now is a rare moment. The election is over and a lot of politicians are looking at 2026. And this is the time to let them know, I don't know what the Democrats told you the issue was for 2026. We're letting you know what the issue is. And don't think that we're going to go away. And it's like he walked outside. I'll be damned. They bought a whole damn truck. Yeah, we did. We're very serious about this. So
that's a whole fact. Man, I pulled up on Yusuf Salam immediately when he got into the city council over, because he's over the city council district for my district.
It's very important that they know we're visible, that we're active. If they think you're just going to sit up here and say something and go away, because people talk to them all the time. That's also a conversation that we need to have, is how I want you all to talk to politicians when you have that opportunity, because people talk to them all the time. They have people trying to pull their ear all the time. You got corporations trying to pull their ear, corporations in real estate, y'all with the landlords and the real estate agents and the developers and whatnot. These dudes are constantly going at them in the legislature because they want laws favorable to them. And so they got a lot of people pulling at them in that regard. Yours is a different thing from the rest of them because you're not trying to run a corporation. Okay, I understand that, but I want you all to know how to talk to them. And part of talking to them is being brief, to be totally honest. You need to be visible, you need to be active, you need to be frequent, but you also need to make sure you get in, get it, and get out. And that's another thing I want folks to make sure they have it summed up very easily. I don't want folks venting.
Right.
Please understand this. I mentioned this yesterday, and I've mentioned this before. New Yorkers, and I love y'all. I mean, I really, really do.
Right.
But venting is a culture in New York. And I understand that. Venting is a culture. In other places, it's like, okay, they was real short and then they swinging on people. It's like, yeah, because venting tends to be a culture there. And I heard some of that tonight, as a matter of fact. No offense, but from some of the sisters there, I heard that tonight. And I'm just like, yeah, you need to go ahead and say what you got to say in about 10 seconds. When we went to pull up on James Clyburn, I want them to get in and say what they got to say in just a few seconds, because I want you to do that so he can start talking. Because the real thing is not for you to talk. The real thing is, okay, ask the question so we can get him to talk so he on the record. You're not running. You're not in office. He is. Hurry up and say what you got to say so we can get him on the record, whatever his answer going to be. Take a look at the phone call I did yesterday when I called Bailey's office.
Right, yeah.
There wasn't no 10 minutes of venting and let me make my pitch to you. Hey, where do you stand on this? No. Where do you stand on this? Oh, okay, that's great. Hey, what about this crime bill? Oh, really? Oh, okay. All right. That's it.
And he said clearly he didn't have a stance, so it gave him the room with it without you having to really press for the honesty of what's actually needed to be transparent in the first place.
Yeah, because it's not about convincing them or giving them the details. They understand this. They know all they live right there where y'all are. They know the damn details. They know what the NYPD doing to you. They know what Marcy doing to you. They know what the hell going on. I'm in Louisiana. I know what the hell's happening in Rikers Island. I'm in Louisiana. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana, and I know what's happening in Rikers.
That's the whole fact.
How the hell are you in Brooklyn and the Bronx and you don't know what's happening in Rikers, and I'm in Shreveport and I know what's happening in Rikers? Right. It takes you 2 damn days to get checked in at Rikers. Now I'm in Louisiana and I know that. The plumbing don't damn well work. When winter time comes through, the plumbing freezes. I'm in Louisiana and I know that. Now, I know that all the way down here, damn it, we ain't got to explain that to the man. He already knows what the situation is. The only thing we need to get to is what we're going to do about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to give you my feelings about it. I don't want to vent about it. I know, and folks feel like they haven't been heard, and I understand that, and I get that. Please go find your family members to go vent to. When you're in front of the politicians, it needs to be straight business. I'm just saying, it's like, hey, he's not the man to vent to. He knows this. You got his time. It's like, hey, dude, something need to get done. Because imagine your car needs to be fixed and you have the damn mechanic venting. I got to take my kids to work and it ain't right. Man, if you don't fix this damn alternator,
let me get out of here and handle my business.
I do not. Yeah. I'll go vent to my woman. I don't need to vent to you to get this damn thing fixed.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with that. So come through with the points being straight to the point. Just ask the questions and let them say what they got to say.
That is it. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Folks, that's a big one there for me right there. It's a big one. You know, when we get in these situations and stuff, make it very brief. Don't have to go through a bunch of explanation. They already know what the hell going on. It's their job. That's one of the reasons they've been avoiding us. They know what's happening. Our job is to make sure they understand we different from the civil rights generation. We watching. Let me go ahead and see if we can get Paris up here on Zoom. Where is Paris at? Let me go ahead and get Paris up here on Zoom. Okay, Paris, unmute yourself. Okay, Paris, it looks like he's on a train somewhere. Paris is trying to figure out how to work this newfangled technology. Okay, we need to see if we can get the granddaughter to come help him. I think Paris has got himself straightened out over there. What is that? Is that Steelers jersey? What is that? Ravens. Okay, there you go. All right, well, as a matter of fact, I spoke a little bit too soon, didn't I? Okay. They're about to go tear somebody else up in just a few days. All right.
How you doing, brother?
Brother, you made a comment in the chat room. I think this is an apropos time to have a conversation about that because I want to get everybody on code tonight. We have some things I want us to work on because there are some areas for improvement, as we used to say in corporate America. Folks, I understand the deal in New York. I wouldn't be talking if I didn't. I got many folk up there in New York. Some of the folk y'all had tonight who I sent on the scene, they come from immigrant background. So the real thing is about folks who are on code. Now, there's a reason why I'm bringing this up in particular. I don't want folks to get confused. We don't have anybody in politics who's on code for us. I need y'all to understand this. You can't name anyone, regardless of their background, who is 10 toes down for us. My concern is if people start having false expectations. So I saw what you were saying, and I want to take this as an opportunity to get everybody straight about what our expectations are. It doesn't matter where, quote unquote, they came from. If they sitting on our streets, we need to start exercising being visible. Because let me tell you something. If you are the elected official where they are, they people pulling up on you. We talking about Fat Joe now. This fella ain't even supposed to be on. He ain't even supposed to be on the damn street, and he's sitting there telling us that this is his house. I want y'all to understand that. If I don't care where in Long Island you at, where in Queens you at, if you get elected, they pulling up on you with their Jamaican accents, with their Caribbean accents, the West Indian accents, the Dominican accents. They pulling up on you. How is it we gonna have a different standard or a different expectation? Well, Jason, they don't care, bruh. Tell me who does. You tell me who does care, and we'll go talk to them. But then again, if they did, then explain to me how it is they care, but yeah, the situation is what it is. And we got to go shake the cage to get them motivated. So that's the only thing I wanted to talk to you about, to say, I want to take this as a teaching moment. Brother, don't nobody care about us. So I'm just saying we need to treat everybody the same. They all
Jason,
are the political structure.
Yeah, I'm originally from up there, and that's why I talk to my family about all the time up that way. And it's kind of like how you be saying, is everybody want interracial access. So ain't nobody gonna really hear or care about what our plight is.
Here's the thing. I'm not looking for a friend. I'm not looking for a buddy. I got girlfriends for loving. I don't need a politician for that. A politician is supposed to be doing your bidding and taking care of your interests. That's supposed to be business. It's not supposed to be about loving. It's not so about who likes you. It's not about who cares. It's about who's doing what you said. And the real thing is, I don't want us to get so bogged down about quote unquote where they from, this, that, and the other, because the real issue here is these other folk out here. When Peter Liang was sitting up there, Shatakai Gurley, his folk was in the street. They didn't give a damn where the politician was from. The DA of Brooklyn. Hello.
I grew up with a cop. So
okay.
I know all about that.
The Brooklyn DA who let that slide. Those weren't his constituents. Those were not quote unquote his people. But you see what happened. And what I'm saying is that that's the attitude and that's the way we need to approach all of this across the board. So I want y'all to make an adjustment in the calibration. Regardless of where they come from, they on your block. And we need to start moving and acting like this is our block, because it is. They're the guests on our block. They waiting to see what, remember, power is taken, it's not given. They want to see who gonna pull up and who gonna muscle up. So please keep that in mind. Jason, they don't care about us. Don't let them care about us. Maxine Waters, what the hell is she doing? Elijah Cummings? James Clyburn? Do I need to go down the list? Alvin Bragg? Do I need to go down this list? Bro, you ain't gonna find nobody whose paperwork didn't come back good. I got some folk from Nigerian background. Their paperwork is way better than Alvin Bragg's will ever be. And they were out there tonight. Paperwork is solid. So I'm letting y'all know what it is. Don't make that first assumption. Hey, we doing paperwork check because we seeing who's on code. But we are assuming, if you're a politician, I'm assuming you don't care. I'm assuming you don't care. I'm assuming you ain't doing right. I'm starting from there. I don't even need to see where you from. You ain't right. You're going to have to prove you're right. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, it does.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I want to make sure y'all are straight on how we see this. If they're a politician, you got to prove your paperwork. I'm foundational. No. What? Paperwork. Because what we get is a bunch of lip service. That's what the whole thing, I'm talking about, the venting. Because if we start venting, politicians like that because they're waiting for you to just blow off steam. You finish venting and then you walk away and like, they heard me. It becomes that. If y'all want to know how we avoid repeating this mistakes of the civil rights generation, it's because I'm just keeping it 100 with you. Some of the stuff I heard here tonight, we don't need to get in front of these folk here and for them to, quote, hear us. You start venting, at the schools and the babies and 500,000 years of oppression. And then they just sit there and let you blow off steam. So, I feel better. I got that off my chest. All right, I let him know what's going on. And there's the problem. Now, you all didn't see what was happening over here on my end. I was telling my folks, hey, ask this one question, then ask this one follow-up question, and then tell them we need to get in touch with you later. That's when he starts handing out his cards. I've already said everything I need to say. I don't need to sit here and get you to empathize and pat my... Y'all remember Bill Clinton was good for that around black folk. That's what I'm saying. You want to talk about the habits we need to break? That's a habit we need to break. That the politicians, if we can just get them to notice us, do you see how you fall in that trap? If I can get you to just notice me, if you'll just see me, so they come to your church and they sit there and dance and they sit there and eat some chicken and they sit there and get some collard greens and they saw us. I let him know what's happening in my family. That's venting. Stop with the whole stuff. Ida B. Wells wasn't on that. Harriet Tubman wasn't on that. Betty Shabazz wasn't on that. They weren't looking for somebody to vent to. Get the business done. I'm just letting y'all know that's a habit that you've witnessed and seen. And I'm seeing some of you repeating that. You're going to have to make a mental note. Hey, can't do that. I don't need him to empathize. I don't need to give him my life story. I don't need to do none of that. Hey, here's what needs to get done. He doesn't need all them details. You're there to extract. Listen to me. You're only there to get in contact with him so you can extract promises and information. You're there for that. You're there for that. That's what you're there for. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Tyler up here on Zoom. All right, we got Tyler on Zoom. Tyler, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good evening, Brother Jason. How you doing?
All right, brother, what's on your mind?
Man, I got a couple of points. I'm gonna hit them real quick. Let me know when we need to stop. We got this fire in LA right now. It's huge. The smoke is at least 800 feet high, and I'm listening to a news broadcast about it. And within an hour of the fire breaking out, they got the planes in the air, right? Putting the water on there, right? They got all types of resources available. Not only that, for people's pets, they have shelters that are reaching out to ensure everything's fine. And then they even mentioned that the Red Cross can help for people who aren't able to return home, can't afford a hotel, anything like that. When they see homeless Black people on the streets, when they see the numbers of how we are surviving economically in these American spaces, they never have the resources. But as soon as a fire breaks out, as soon as people from South American, Central American countries need these resources, they are available. I wanted to bring that up because I feel a lot of people, especially on the West Coast, have this lighthearted attitude about racism in terms of they feel like it's this thing that's not as big a deal. It's not that bad. You just kind of work hard and things will go well. And there's no sinister conspiracy. And so it is a little more difficult to get the LA folks woke up. But
well, it depends. It depends on where they are, because LA has a lot of rioters. I mean, remember that's Rodney King riot territory. You know, you're talking about Watts and whatnot. So they've been standing up. But you make a good point, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I want to bring that into its proper focus. The reason why you see a lot of that, it goes back to the interracial sexual access, but here's how it connects, brother, and this is how you have to understand the psychology of it, I think, may help you to be able to deal and negotiate with folk on that a little bit better. If you are a 22-year-old Black male in Los Angeles and you are trying to, quote unquote, live your life, okay, what are you trying to do? Well, he's trying to enjoy himself. Well, what's his definition of that? Is enjoying himself his definition of that? Is it building an economic base? Is it being financially viable? Is it chasing Spanish chicks? Is it smoking weed? Because you see, if that's what he's trying to get the police off his back, I want to get these folks to stop oppressing me so I can do something else. You need to know what that something else is he's trying to do. So, because he's going to chalk all those bad parts you talking about, that's the cost of doing business, so he can focus on what he really wants to do. So if that's his focus, now you know where the obstacles coming in. Now you know where the stumbling blocks coming in. If he's in California because he believes that he's there to pursue fun and sun and chasing bright skinned chicks, now you know what you're up against. You're up against a cultural dynamic. So that gives you an idea when you start talking about, okay, what's wrong with it? Now you understand what's wrong with it. Now you know what you have to really grapple against. What are you offering that outweighs that? How do you deal with somebody who thinks that's a priority in between getting chased by the police or shot or killed or something else? How do you deal with that now that you know that's what he's really thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was watching a YouTube short and Jordan Peterson is talking to this African lady. You know, she all right. And they're talking about Africa being poor is Africa's fault. And I definitely understand self-accountability, but even today they are still trying to wipe the slate clean so that the theft can't be prosecuted in the future. And the fact that this lady has underneath, you can see the other recommended, she's got multiple videos with Jordan, this Black African lady who's supporting, white people no longer have a hand in this. They, you know, what happened in the past is the past, and it doesn't impact the present. And I have so many different thought experiments, right, that definitely demonstrate it. But it's, you know, we don't have to mention it here, but it's very clear how the past and the present are the same thing. Evolution, archaeology, none of these sciences are possible if you try to break the connection between past and present. And at the same time, they want to keep connection to the past resources in the present.
No, look, it's a mind game. These folk know who the hell to talk to. They all know who I am. All of them. Jordan Peterson, the rest of them, they know who I am. They have to, because they need to know who to avoid. There's a reason why you'll see them talk to a Fresh and Fit and a Candace Owens, and we can go down the damn list all day. There's a reason they'll do that, but they're not going to come over here. They know who to avoid. They're here to disseminate propaganda. Jordan Peterson is an otherwise insightful psychologist, but he's also a white supremacist.
Yes. Yes.
He's also an alt-right white supremacist. I mean, we can go down the list of those throughout history. Yeah, they were otherwise brilliant at what they did. That doesn't change the fact that, oh yeah, when it comes to this racial thing, this is also what you are. This is also it. The founders of the Constitution. Yeah, Thomas Jefferson might have been pretty sharp at some certain things. That also didn't change the fact you're a white supremacist. So I need to understand that when I talk to you. That, by the way, that's a component of your psyche and personality too. So when he talks to that chick, and I know the one you're talking about, when he talks to her, and she's not the only one, there's like two or three of them broads who do that. Okay, there's a reason why they prop them up, brother. Because I've told y'all, white supremacy knows you have to prop up your spokespeople. You got to pay your spokespeople, you got to prop them up. Because they're not going to get any traction amongst us. Well, then, Jason, why are they doing that? They're hoping that they can soften up the next generation. So you're throwing all this out there like fertilizer and hoping it softens up the next generation. Because remember, right now, YouTube is 20 years old? So they're playing the long game. They're throwing these videos out there and stuff and hoping that your kids will encounter this in 5 or 10 years. And that maybe there'll be a few things in there, not the whole thing, just a few things in there that'll get them to stop and pause longer than they should. And then next thing you know, remember, if you want to corrupt somebody, you don't have to convince them. You just need to plant seeds of doubt. If y'all want to know how it is that Nazis and propagandists work things, they don't try to convince you of anything, especially about social issues. Victory is when they can plant a seed of doubt. If I can get you to start questioning one thing, and what you just articulated was that, well, is it really the white supremacist fault? I mean, is it really not mine? Are we really to blame? Just that one thing right there, you can see how that's poisonous, that's cancerous. Well, that's just one cell. That's how cancer works.
Yeah.
If I can get one cell to change, sit back and wait. So being on code is very much important. That blurring the past and whatnot. Jordan Peterson will be the exact same guy who will sit here and tell you about what psychologists were talking about 80 years ago about transgenderism. He'll be the same guy who'll tell you that and then tell you they ain't got, but when it comes to white supremacy, what happened 80 years ago ain't got nothing to do with today. He'll be the same guy who tells you that. So she's not going to say anything because she's bought and paid for a bootlick. He's not going to come over here and have this conversation here. I could not pay Jordan Peterson to have that conversation. I couldn't pay him for that. He would never do it. He knows what's going to happen. I talked to Bill O'Reilly 20 years ago. I got it on tape somewhere around here. I have to actually find it. Sean Hannity, same thing. That's why they started screening their calls even tighter. Yeah, they understand that that's going to happen. That now they don't want to take calls at all. Yeah, brother, they know the line they're trying to feed. So I understand that. This is why we got to be on code and organized. This is why I try to do my best to, be as good of a spokesperson in this regard as I can be, because that's what you're up against and that's what's going on. There's folks out there who will say the silliest, craziest things, or at least it seems silly and crazy till you start seeing it. Last thing here is about what you said in there in California. Resources start moving. It's very interesting how there's unlimited resources depending on who it is. I talk about this all the time. I was the guy who had to tell everybody years ago, you all hear about the fires in the so-called Hollywood Hills and whatnot. When we take a look at this stuff on the news around the country, they just show it looks like a forest. And to the rest of us for years, it was like, that's crazy. Why are you trying to fight fires in the forest? Leave it alone, let it burn itself out. I was the guy who had to tell people, folks, the NBC and ABC make it look like it's just a forest. Those are houses up in there. There are homes up in there. So from a distance, it just looks like, oh, it's a bunch of trees. But no, these are the rich white folk. And Joe Rogan, remember, his house was up in there. So I've actually been a couple of times. And you just keep driving around and whatnot. It's great big old houses. It looks like you're in the woods, but there's multi-million-dollar mansions and homes in the hills all over the place up there. That's what they're dumping water on and fires on us and the firefighters. That's what's going on. But the news media doesn't really make that clear in a lot of regards. So next thing you know, so if your house is burning down in Los Angeles, you'll be lucky if a fire truck shows up. Then rich folks' houses, the fire started in the hills, they got planes, trucks, it looks like the damn 5th Armored Division showing up to come help them. Lord forbid something should happen to their house. And these are people who should be rich enough to have whole water suppression systems built in. And ain't doing that. But you need to go kidnap somebody to get an ambulance.
No, absolutely, Jason. It's funny. I'm gonna wrap it up. I had a client. I used to do tutoring back in the day before I became an educator. Did education full time, and I had a client, older white lady, lived in the hills, and she stayed in a 3-story townhome up there. The view was ridiculous. I'd go over there on the weekends, early in the morning on Saturday, do some tutoring with her. You got to show your license and everything. It's whatever. And this lady, when I learned about her past, her peoples are responsible for a significant amount of the railroads on the East Coast. So that East Coast money is all over the place. There's people in Palisades who are managing money from 2-3 centuries ago. You know what I'm saying? So the reason I understand why they have the resources in that over there, because we understand how the system works, but it's just so obvious. I mean, because in LA, Jason, it's right there. I was, back in my, puff days. I went up to the hills because I went up to the hills in Beverly Hills, found a nice little view. That was something I like to do every now and again, get a good view. And I was shocked one night to realize that you can see South Central from Beverly Hills. If you go up to the hills, you can really see it, right? You can see the stores. You can see the signs of their larger grocery stores and things like that. So when the riots popped off, they were watching that. That's not something that was foreign to Los Angeles people. They saw the flames. They saw them at nighttime. They saw the destruction, all that stuff.
Rosecrans runs straight through. Rosecrans runs straight through to the ocean. So, oh, hell yeah. That whole Los Angeles area is just mountains and hills and stuff. It's not level topography by any stretch of the imagination. So, hell yeah. Rosecrans runs straight through. You can see straight through.
Yeah. I wanted to finish by adding a word to our lexicon, white supremic, with the C. It comes after Hitleric, it's just a way to measure an abuse of authority. So I believe that white supremic is the highest level of abuse of authority. And I would like to enter that into our lexicon. B1, Jason.
B1, brother, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Yeah, folks, like I say, I mean, these other folks have gotten set up in the civil rights generation. I mean, we just got to call it for what it is. They want to sit down. The reason why we got to get everybody up and mobilize the civil rights generation, as soon as they told them, look, we're not going to lynch you if you sleep with white women anymore, and we're going to let you buy at our stores. They took the day off. That's why they're coming back and telling you and me now everything's fine. They let them buy some little old raggedy houses near the Ford plant in Michigan. And then they just said, man, we sitting on our ass. They spent their entire lives now going to church and hanging out at the fish fry and the bingo hall, rack up a few bastard kids, and that was it. You cannot fix a problem if you will not face the problem. To any jackass who wants to tell me about, why don't you talk about what foundation is messed up? First of all, you need to be concerned about where you come from.
And deal with it, nigga.
Instead of you trying to deflect, you need to get your stuff over there perfected, dude. First of all. But if I do have a critique to make, well, I got plenty of criticisms to make. I got plenty to make. But you worry about what you're supposed to be worrying about. That's what you do. Let me go ahead and jump over here to Onan. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Onan up here on Zoom. All right, let me get Onan up here on Zoom. What's on your mind, brother?
All right, brother Jason, just wanted to make sure, first off, can you hear me well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because the last time I called, the audio was a little bit messed up. But so I called Mr. Eric Dillon yesterday, New York State Representative out in Brooklyn, and I got a chance to talk to one of his representatives. And I asked him in response to the passing of Mr. Robert Brooks, does he support an anti-Black hate crime bill in specific? And I also called Mr. Dramani Williams as well. I didn't get a chance to talk to Dramani Williams. I did get a chance to talk to somebody from Eric Dillon's office, and they said that they didn't have enough information as to make a decision onto whether they would support that or not, which I found to be a bit suspicious.
Yeah, and you notice that every time we're talking to these folks now, when you shove a camp, if the national media talks to them, if they throw a blurb out there, they'll mention it. We call them up and all of a sudden they don't know nothing about no Robert Brooks. They don't know nothing about what's happening. Very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and I find that to be very suspicious because with the ubiquity of information through the internet, there's no reason that you should not have the knowledge at hand.
Brother, if your other black assembly people know about this, how the hell you don't?
Right. And I think
if Letitia James knows about this, how the hell is it that the assemblyman doesn't? How is that mathematically possible that the attorney general and the governor know about this, but the assemblyman doesn't? Brother, that's not mathematically possible. They run in game, and what they're really showing you is that this is an issue they do not want to take up, most likely because they're afraid that maybe the union or something like that is going to jump. The folk who are behind the scenes and put them where they are, they're worried that that's going to be an issue. They don't want to take a public stance on it because then you'll be held to it. That's the real issue for these things. Is I told y'all, make your points quickly and get them to take a position. Because the sooner you do that, now that's what you can use.
Yeah. And it's a shame because it's hard to get a commitment on this issue in particular, because usually any issue that involves Black people tends to be very unpopular, right? You can even go back to the civil rights movement. At the time, 2/3 of the population was against civil rights for Black people. And this was back in the 60s, right? Now, you take this issue and on all the things that have transpired since that time until this point, and we're still dealing with atrocities committed against foundational Black Americans, and yet the politicians who were supposed to represent us essentially treat us like a stepping stone to get where they want to go. And they don't have any, I guess, chutzpah or backbone to actually stand on business and defend anything that has to do with foundational Black Americans in specific. But I don't want to take up too much time, so I'll land my plane right there. B1, my brother.
B1, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. I want y'all to understand something here about these politicians, and it's not just New York. We've encountered this everywhere. Remember, James Clyburn is down there in South Carolina. You encountering the same damn thing from them. So when the heat is on, they give lip service to things. If they think they can get away with ignoring it, they try to do that the other way. The reason for this, let me explain to y'all what's going on. The reason for it is because, especially after this last election, you've got the Democrats have been getting together, and I told you all this. I've been saying this now for 5 years. I said it 4 years ago. I said it 2 years ago. Part of the triangulation that the Democrats have made is that they need to convince the American public that they are more like Donald Trump. What? So when we talk about being quote unquote tough on crime, that doesn't just mean police officers. Corrections officers are not police officers. However, Department of Corrections is a part of the prison judicial complex. So anything that bolsters the judicial complex and the law enforcement complex, the Democrats have been passing memos, and what they're saying to themselves, what they're telling each other is the problem is we were too far left, and we need to convince the public that we're more like Donald Trump, especially in New York. We can't seem so leftist. We got to convince them we're more like Trump. So pipe down about Jordan Neely. Pipe down. Pipe down about Robert Brooks. Pipe down. Pipe down about Rikers Island. Shh, pipe that down. You're talking too much. Pipe down. So I want you all to know what the political establishment is actually saying and actually doing. Now, What they're hoping is that we will be quiet. They're hoping that we'll be quiet. They're hoping that we won't make a bunch of noise. They're hoping that they can fly below the radar. This is why things like what we're doing here tonight, it's like, oh hell, that's not what we're looking for, because they need to fly below the radar. Because they know that this is completely this isn't just unpopular with us. This is unacceptable to us. So the only way you can get away with it is if people don't know that's what you're actually doing. Because all of a sudden that becomes the campaign issue. So they're trying to do these things. They're hoping nobody's watching. Damn sure hoping there's not some jackass on the internet putting up a spotlight and showing receipts to thousands and hundreds of thousands of people. That would be very inconvenient, especially in a non-election year. Why, all this murmuring you're doing during a non-election year could have major ripples during the election year. Yeah, why should I wait until 2026? Why don't we get it kicked off in 2025? And then when by the time you get to 2026, the conversation has already started and everybody knows which side of it you're on, or more importantly, which side you are not on. Very, very important distinction to make. Which side you're on and which side you're not on. And you can't start that during election years. People, I am a chief proponent of what you do during non-election years. What you do when there is no election, I am a big proponent of that. Huge. Because you get your payoff during the election year. If you were doing your footwork from Trump's people did their footwork from 2020 to 2023. 2024 was just the payday. That was the day they got to go cash their checks for all the work that they did from 2020 to 2023. Kamala Harris was sitting in front of a tsunami and didn't know it. Or actually, she did know it, but by the time 2024 gets there, Kamala Harris is sitting under a tsunami. Here it comes. It ain't going to do nothing but wipe you out. Okay, but that tsunami was moving 3 years ago. The earthquake happened in 2020, and the waves started rising way out there over the horizon in 2021 and 2022. By the time 2023 rolls around, the wave is big as a skyscraper. 2024, baby, it's already over. It was over in 2023. It was already done. You were already wiped out. While you were sitting around talking about everything's fine. So the waves that you create during non-election years are what prep the ground and cultivate the environment for what kicks off during your election years. You create issues during non-election years. Then you capitalize on those issues during the election year. But let me make sure you all are clear. This is going to be about who outworks everybody else. This is going to be about who outworks everyone else. If we don't put in the work, if we don't put in the effort, if we get tired, if we're not relentless, if we're not 24/7, it doesn't move. It doesn't move. Now, there's a major winter storm coming through the country right now as we speak. There's a major winter storm coming through this country as we speak. As a matter of fact, we're due to get snow here shortly in Louisiana. I've seen more snow in Louisiana in the last 5 years than I saw in the previous 5 decades. But I did not let that prevent me from what had to kick off today. I do need to yell at somebody about timeliness. I do need to have a conversation with somebody about timeliness. So, well, that's a bit of a side. Forgive me, everyone. I'm a little salty right now, though. I'm just saying, there was a bit of a timeliness issue here tonight. So, I'm a little salty because of that. Punctuality was a bit of an issue here tonight. So, however, as you all saw, things did come off here. I will not say without a hitch, but it did come off. All I'm going to say is I've never asked you all to do anything that I myself would not do. I have never asked you to do anything. I think that you're all here because you're true believers. And I just wanted to show you that there's a whole lot you can get done. There's a whole lot you can get done if you're willing to outwork, outmaneuver, outthink, and just stay consistent. And tonight has just been my little token towards that. That's all. Let me say something here. Let me acknowledge something here real quick. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program.
I told you all that I was the greatest of all time. I told you today I'm still the greatest of all time.
W. Chucky Woo, Chris Ellis, Mr. Spice. I've had a whole bunch of other folks out here today too. As a matter of fact, here, folks, I can't even name names here and stuff, man. On Super Chat, on PayPal, whatever. You know, Yolanda, Mark B. You know, there's been a bunch of folks here tonight. Tamara, you know, they honor me with that. I don't ask for anything. I never have. I don't insist on anything. I never have. I want to talk about Miss Applewhite too. As a matter of fact, I see you, Miss Applewhite. I see you, Miss Applewhite, and to all of you here. I've only tried to be somebody who showed you that, hey, I truly believe in this. I've done documentary films because what we've done in New York City, everyone talks about Harlem, but you can't tell the story of rap and hip hop without the Bronx. So while Langston Hughes and all of our luminaries and the literary greats, everybody focuses on Harlem for that, but the thing that shook and changed the world came out of the Bronx. It didn't come out of the academics and the poet laureates in Manhattan. The movement that ultimately transformed the world came out of all places, the Bronx, out the gutter. That resonates with me on a huge level. What that tells you is it's bigger than Harlem, man. It's bigger than Harlem. It's Harlem. It's Brooklyn. It's the Bronx. Yeah, it's Queens. It's bigger than just Harlem. So you cannot reduce us down to just Harlem. You can't reduce us down to just 125th Street. You can't reduce us down to that. We've been shaking all over the place. And if you let them, they'll reduce us down to just Harlem. And I have nothing but respect and reverence for that. And we can talk about Seneca Village and we can talk about Times Square. And I get that. I'm one of the people who brought it to you all's attention. But what I'm telling you is that I am not willing to concede an inch on that. I am not. Even if we ultimately only end up with 5 black folk in New York, I expect you to be running what you got. I've been all over the place. That's why I tell you, I've been all up and down Ocean. I've been all up and down them areas. I've seen the Hasidic Jews all over the place over there. Whether it's a house, a building, a bagel store, whatever, they holding it down. You talk about the bodegas. If the Dominicans got one little corner store, they holding it down. Out there in the summertime and whatnot, there's a few of them get real fancy and get their pressure hoses out and polish off the damn sidewalk. If they got it, they holding it down. Don't give a damn if it's just one of them. They holding it down. And we are not going to divorce that attitude. And we are not going to divorce that mindset. Oh, I didn't notice the Sage. Let me see here. Let me get Sage up in here. All right, Brother Sage, I thought I saw some. Onan is taking up too much damn real estate. Let me kick him out.
Force that attitude.
Okay, turn off your speakers. There you go.
Yes, sir, Brother Black. Got me good?
Yes, sir, we hear you. First of all, appreciate you putting toes down out there and whatnot and showing up. At least you were there on time, even if some of the other stuff I paid for wasn't. So at least you were there when you were supposed to be.
It's okay, brother. Please do not raise the crime rate in the city.
Dude, y'all be stressing me between the 8 a.m. premiere and tonight in New York. Oh boy, it was gonna go up at least 3 people. So
I could imagine, brother. Again, I want to say thank you again for all your efforts, coming all the way from Louisiana, my father's state, coming all the way from there and doing what you did. That I can't thank you enough for all the efforts that you put. galvanizing the people in such short notice, because this was a short turnaround for us, but I do think that we made a difference. I do want to ask you a question too, brother. That's why I rushed home, because I definitely wanted to get on and ask you a question. When it was presented to Brisport about an anti-black crime bill, and I definitely have to watch the broadcast back, but did you see the look on his face as if he's never heard of that in his life? Like he's surprised that black people are actually asking for an anti-black hate crime bill.
That's partially it, but this is why we've been trying to educate you all about this for over a decade now. When Hillary Clinton ran for president back in 2016, this is why we kept reminding you all about that Democrat WikiLeaks thing. They leaked the memos from the Democrat Party that said, if Black Lives Matter, which really just means black folk, period, if they run up on you asking you what you're going to do, remember what it said, these words, quote, do not make any specific promises. Listen to them, empathize with them, tell them you understand, but do not make any specific promises. Do not agree to any specifics. Brother, that was what they told the whole damn party. Do you know what you have not seen? You have not seen a memo or any announcement from them saying that that's not true. So what does that tell you? That's the operating procedure to this day. If black folk run up on you talking about racism and white supremacy, do not make any specific promises. We will give them the solutions that we think are politically advantageous for the party or politically palatable to us, but you are not to agree to any ideas that they bring you. So you only agree to the ones that me and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have decided, but you do not let the grassroots bring you something. So it's not surprising to me that every time we talk to one of these folk there, they act like they don't know nothing about something that's been on the news now for a decade. Letitia James is on the news, and you got what's his face up there telling you he don't know nothing about it? How in the hell can that be? How can Eric Dillon not know anything? How can Jamal Bailey not know anything? He doesn't have a TV? He doesn't have the internet? You don't know who Letitia James is? She's been talking about it for 2 weeks and you don't know nothing? How is the Attorney General who is over you, how does she know about this and you don't know? Of course you know. You just didn't think anybody was going to ask you for specifics. You were hoping this wouldn't happen because the party told you don't give any. Now you know what that also means. If you go off of message and you start talking specifically, you're on your own, which is the shot across the bow that they sent to AOC. You start going off script, don't be surprised if you're on your own. So it shouldn't be surprising to you that we mentioned that and it's like, oh, this is an idea that he didn't bring. The other thing is they're not going to agree. They want to know what you mean first. Now, this is another tactic that's been used. Remember, Bernie Sanders did that. That's why I had to start beating on the drum. I was the guy who got that kicked off on the drum about reparations to specifically say what it means because people were so squeamish about it. We say reparations and here niggas come talking about Bitcoin and farmland and education books. And I said, no, cut the check. And I had to say cut the check because people were squeamish about saying cash payments. Jews could say it, Japanese could say it. When I sent folk out there, folks started getting squeamish. And I mean, we need reparations, we need help, we need benefits. And I was the guy who just gave it to them in a form they could palate. Cut the check. Next thing you know, Bernie Sanders is being hit with it. Hello, Sonny Hostin. But we got in front of Bernie Sanders. Hey, we need reparations. Well, what is that? From a man who knows damn well what it is. But he was hoping that you would back down. I got it encapsulated in a manner in which people were not going to be so squeamish about saying it. And they ran up on him and cut the check. Cash payments? That's not feasible. Okay, now that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for that part. Like I said, I need y'all to hit these folk, and we're going to have a little bit of a powwow about that tonight so we can refine how y'all do that. Hit them and then shut up so he can respond. Because what I really want is to get him on here answering it. I want him to say something. I cannot indict a politician for a question that you asked. I can only indict them for the response they give. And if you keep talking, you're preventing them from giving a response, which is what they want. They want you to keep talking and talking and talking. So he's like, oh yeah, I hear you. And we're going to get to that. And I asked you a question. I need a response to that. What are we going to do about a black hate crime bill? I'm not, and you stop right there. Don't go into your feelings. Don't flower anything out. Don't talk about there's a truck outside. Don't go into any other details. You ask that question and stop. I need to get an answer from him because that's what I need. Remember James Clyburn when we ran up on him? What about reparations? Why y'all effing with me? That's what I wanted. Right there. That's it. I can't play for them what y'all said. I need his words. That's it. Next thing you know, James Clyburn's looking for the damn exits. That's what you want. Letitia James and the rest of them, there's a reason why they'll only talk to certain folk. Okay, when y'all do that, recognize what we're really there for. So he wants to see exactly what you mean by that because he wants to know how much wiggle room he got. So then he's like, oh, well, what does that mean there exactly? It's like, that's where we have to be very blunt and to the point about that. When it was like, okay, he's trying to get me to be specific, not because he doesn't know what you mean, but he wants to know how much wiggle room is he going to have with what he's about to say or what he can't say. And the sooner you stop talking, the more he has to fill in that gap. Your job is to get the politicians to fill in the gap. Ask the question, he needs to fill it in. He asks another question, hurry up and answer that so he can fill it in. Well, we're here to find out what you think. But don't start answering it for him and tell him what it is. Because then they'll just nod their heads and, oh, we'll see about that. That's feasible. I didn't ask about feasible. Where do you stand? Now, you did very good. Now, the good thing that was asked was about where you stand in principle. Now, that's very, very important. Regardless if you can get it, I'm not going to let you get away. We came here for an answer, and I don't want to hear about what you think can pass or not. I want to know what my politician here, where your principle lies. Do you agree with this in principle? Now, that was very good. Because you can't say that doesn't allow you to wiggle room out with, the unions won't let it do this. The party might not. I want to know what you think. You can't blame that on the party. Where do you stand on that? Very good. Very good. But beyond that, brother, no, don't be surprised. They're not used to that. They're used to black folk coming up and talking about, in New York, the politicians are used to black folk coming up and talking about two things, housing and crime. Those are the two things the politicians are used to y'all running up on them for. Tonight was a curveball. Wasn't really expecting folk to come up and talk about that. So he was ready to talk about schools, domestic issues. You all came talking about something totally different. So now he wants to know, wait a minute. Plus y'all got cameras on him. So he knows this is going to the internet. He knows this is going to be seen. So yes, sir. It's like being under deposition. He doesn't want to give any answer he can't stand by. Because he knows you're recording it and he knows this is going on the internet. So yes, he's like, wait a minute. He's treating you like talking to a lawyer. That's why you feel a little standoffish about it. He was acting like he didn't know. If a lawyer was sitting up here peppering you with questions, what would your attorney tell you? Don't give away no answers. Wait a minute. Let him be very specific now. Don't fill in a bunch of details. Just only answer exactly what you're asked. Don't fill in anything extra. And that's exactly what you got. So that's okay because we know how the game is played in that. But yeah, we need to get some specifics on that. And then after that, okay, I need to follow up with you. So that's something else I also want to work with y'all on there as well. Once you ask that and stuff and you get those answers, the only next thing after that is we need to follow up with you. And what that means is expect to hear from us again. When I say I'm following up with you, I mean, you'll be hearing from me again. I saw it when you did that. That's to let them know this is not a one-time thing. You will be following up again.
Yes, sir. Now, from the responses that he gave today, do you think that, well, obviously you're going to broadcast this to hundreds of thousands of people. Do you think that, and it will get back to the DNC at one point, do you think that with his response today that he'll be on the hot seat?
Not yet. No, this is just one thing. I need folks to understand this. This is a marathon, not a sprint. This was just one meeting in one auditorium in one place. He certainly did notice that, by the way, wow, they're not used to seeing black folk take things this seriously, because when you start spending money to get high attention on something, now you put them on notice. But I want y'all to be clear about that. Let your actions do the talking for you. I'm a real super big believer in that, especially with politicians. Don't tell them what you're gonna do. Don't make anything that sounds like you got power or you're gonna do this, that, and the other, because they got millionaires and billionaires. All that really does is make them sit up here and try to bolster the troops on their side of that. So I understand folks are frustrated. It's injustice. I get that. I'm the guy hosting this every week for 2 decades. I get it. But I also want you to understand, don't overplay your hands either. Play the hand you got. Don't overplay it. Do not make it sound like you got more power than you do. Don't make it sound like you got more ability than you do. Don't make it sound like you are monopolistic, that you've got some, autocratic power that you do not have. And that's a very important thing. Don't overstate things. Yes, you do have a vote. That's very, very true. So do a bunch of other people. And remember, if a politician hears something that they don't like, the real reason they want to get in more money is to try to galvanize other people to neutralize your vote. Especially once they're on notice that you're not happy with that. Let me go ahead and get some more money so I can hopefully, okay, these 200 people showed up here and they're not happy. I need to spend $40,000 to get 200 folk who gonna vote the other way. That's the way their minds start thinking. And that's the way the parties operate. Let me get a couple hundred folk to neutralize you, since you have now declared that you're gonna take us to task. Let me neutralize you. So that's why I want you all to be brief about those things, state those things, and when they see action moving, let your words only get questions asked. After that, let the actions speak for themselves. Brother, you ain't got to tell him that big ass neon thing with his face out there. When he walks out the building, you can see that. It's impossible to miss. The block is usually a lot darker. I lit things up tonight. Matter of fact, my calculations, it should still be there. So if he stuck around to go talk to some folks, it's actually still sitting there. My dollar's at work. So things like that.
I heard he took a picture by it, so he might post it on his Twitter account, X, whatever.
Well, we'll see. And the next thing, of course, is don't say things you don't mean. So if we say we're going to support people, we got to do that. If we say we're going to support them, we have to do that. That's very, very important. So we don't want to overtalk anything. We don't want to overstate anything. Politicians don't really know for certain what issues will move people and what issues will galvanize them. They get complained at all the time. I want you all to become good at promoting issues, not promoting complaints. Because it's easier for them to get behind an issue than it is to get behind complaints. They get complaints all the time. Complaints come with a bunch of folk venting. When you start looking organized and you have a clear, rational idea, like, for example, I don't want you all making statements that seem like you're going to take on the police union. No, you won't. You can't do that. The police unions have more pull than you. They have more financing than you. But more importantly, the police unions can make an argument that you cannot make. If folks call 911 tonight, they're calling the police. They're not calling Sage. So you're not going to win that argument. I don't care what the police are doing out there in the streets. They can be running over folks in the D9 Caterpillar. That's not where you want to make your stand. You don't want to make your stand on don't listen to the police union, listen to me. That's not going to work. The police unions are outrageously well organized. They talk to the politicians all the time. And they also have one more thing that you don't have. The politicians want the union's endorsement. They want it every year. They do not want to have to go out there and be fighting the police union endorsing somebody else. You walk up on them and tell them, I need you to go piss off the police union. Okay. That's not a winning argument. It really isn't. So I want folks to be aware of that. Now, the corrections officers are a bit different. There is a union for them as well, but they don't have the police union necessarily in that regard. It's more of a state affair. You don't have to take them on at all. Now, there's the great part about it. Y'all don't have to take them on, period. It doesn't really even require mentioning them. It really, really doesn't. A black hate crime doesn't even require the mentioning of police or anything else. It simply requires what you're going to do for us, what the protections are that we get. When you give them the ability to make that argument, that's a lot easier because you're not asking them to go at any of the police unions. Hell, you're not even asking them to go at the corrections officers. You're simply talking about what they're for, not what they're against. Please remember that that's what the hate crime thing is for. It's to start, when we talk about we need protections, this is simply to say what we're for. We're not against anybody. This is what is for us. So now you've articulated something that they can say, okay, this is what we're for. This isn't against the police. No, it's not against the police. Now, if you assault us, regardless of your job title, regardless of your occupation, but this is not against police. This is for our protection from anybody, regardless of job or occupation title. But we're not against anyone. Go do what you do. Now, if you do something to us, implicit in that, but that's not something for us to talk about and say. That's another thing. I know folks have been sitting on their hostility and indignation and frustration for so long, and we sit up here and tell folks everything. And it's very strategic that we not say so much. All I need to see is see it in writing. The whole thing about California reparations, we went back. Once we said we had to say, they started writing it down. They wrote down too much. We came back, take that out. Didn't have to call a press conference. Didn't have to call a television station. Hey, take that line out. No, not them. Just us over here. Take that line out. Let me know when you got that rewritten down in black and white. They came back again. The line was gone. All right, move along. No press conference needed. No reporters. No television stations. No yelling. No screaming. No venting. I need to get that in black and white because that's a negotiation. We don't need the press conference for that. You go ahead and write this down. Introduce this in the committee or whatever. Like, okay, let's see what it says in writing. No, that's not right. You got to go change that. It's not right. We're not supporting this. No fast ones. Fix that. Okay, now you can take this back. I don't need ABC 7, New York 1, New York 2. I don't need none of them. That's how y'all make progress. Because, by the way, how you getting screwed in New York? The developers and whatnot, they passing laws all the damn time. Y'all don't even see it. No talk, no negotiation, no discussion. Damn sure no press conference. Tell me the last time you saw a developer hold a press conference in New York City. You find out the press conference when Hudson Yards is going up. Them men ain't holding no press conferences nowhere. They're rebuilding the damn Chase building down there, knocking something down there. Jamie Dimon is not talking to none of y'all. No ribbon cutting ceremony, no nothing. He's like, give me my damn permit and start building. And you all find out it's like we're marking off the block. Well, why? They're building something here. Y'all didn't talk to us. They talked to the legislature. Really? Yeah, we ain't got to talk to you. Oh, okay. That's how you get things done. Right there. Stop chasing attention. You got the man's attention tonight. You got his card. Okay, now he knows you're there. What he'll be looking for next is consistency. That lets them know that you're serious. This is a real issue. Next, they'll be looking to see now how many other people have heard this, because assembly members talk. And if they start hearing, yeah, there's some yahoos out there making noise. They're with that Jason Black guy, that agitator who's been making trouble for us for the last 2 decades here. We messed up his passports and that little incident at DFW that we won't discuss. Yeah, that right there, yeah, that didn't shake him up enough. Yeah, that thing in Arizona didn't shake him up enough. And he's making more trouble. He's not going to go away. And he brought other people with him this time. That makes a difference. So, yes, I saw everything. I saw what happened. You'll see it on playback, by the way. I saw everything. I saw what happened. I didn't see or hear anything from him tonight that was out of the ordinary. He was not expecting it, which was good. He was not expecting that that's how this evening was going to go. He thought it was going to be something else. Okay, because he was just supposed to make an appearance tonight. This so the neighborhood knows, oh, hey, I'm here for the cheering. That's good. We're so glad you said that. And now he understands that something else is going on. So just recognize that he wants to know what the other shoe is that's going to drop. That's the expression you saw in his face. Is this one shoe or is this the first of several? That's what he wants to know. I need y'all to recognize politicians want things to be quiet. That Jamal Bailey guy, well, yeah, he wants to run unopposed, brother. They want things quiet. They want y'all to just ain't no issues. So if the 4 people who do show up to vote just pull the lever for them and he just keep his job and he just keep cruising. That's what they want. They don't want people bringing issues because issues require taking a position. Taking a position risks being on the wrong side of something. Being on the wrong side of something risks not keeping your job. And one more thing, folks, do not threaten their jobs either. Do not do that. You wouldn't like that if somebody came to your place of work and did that. Don't make statements that imply or infer that. First rule of salesmanship, convince the customer the decision by was theirs, not yours. Second rule, emphasize the benefits. You're there to let him know what you're going to do for him. So that was a good thing to let him know, hey, we're going to support you. But do not make it seem like you're not going to support something. You're here to tell him, hey, this is who we are, this is what we do, and we're looking for somebody to support for this. Then he walks outside and sees the big glowing truck. Ooh, hell, they brought money. He can see that. They ain't giving those away. So that's what I want you all to understand. When you're talking politicians, I know the civil rights generation let them get away with a whole bunch of bull crap, and you're upset, and you're frustrated, and you're angry, and I get that. Do not lead with it. With anyone. Now, there are some politicians who are specifically hostile to us, but even then, I'm not going to advise you to do that either. We didn't go to James Clyburn threatening anything. We went there simply to get him on the record admitting that he's against us. Then you go support Marcel Dixon. That's how you do that. But that's another thing I tell y'all. We need to have a whole class. I guess I need to do this now as a post-mortem on it and stuff. I guess I shouldn't do it later. I should just do it right now. I want to make those critiques on that so going forward you all understand how to handle those things because there will be others. What? Oh, tonight is just the beginning. Jason, are you serious? We got all winter. Tonight's, I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started.
Once again, I want to say thank you, brother, and end it off with Black First.
Well, thank you very much for showing up, you and the whole gang. There was a lot more people there than I thought, but I saw the picture. They sent me some pictures, so y'all showed up and showed out there tonight, so the whole squad was out there tonight. So that's the kind of thing they need to see. For those of you who are watching on Zoom and whatnot, y'all didn't actually see everybody who was there. So they sent me a picture later here to show me how many folks were there. So we definitely showed up tonight. That definitely got his attention because that's the kind of thing that he is 20-something degrees outside and that many people showed up. That only because you knew where he was, that gets his attention. He's like, if this is what they're doing in the freezing cold, what will they do when things warm up? What's it going to look like then? And if I have my druthers, it'll look about 10 times bigger. Thank you very much, brother. We appreciate that tonight. You put in work. That's exactly what it's supposed to be. You hit the block. You put in work. You didn't make a bunch of excuses. You made things happen. Don't be all emotional. You know, you're sitting on frustration about things, and I get it. Believe me, there is no one who is more frustrated than Jason Black is. Nobody. There is nobody who's more frustrated. There's nobody who's more hostile. There is no one who's more angry than I am. Believe me. When I'm sitting up here in the middle of a damn snowstorm, sweeping across the country, and you drop a Bentley payment to put up a damn billboard for one night to get somebody's damn attention because y'all killed this man. I could be doing anything and anything other than that, and I'm sitting up here doing this because you murdered this man? Could have sat here and spent money on anything else and everybody would have been fine with that. But I'm like, yeah, man, damn that. Everything else is off the damn table. Damn that. This is the only thing that matters. This is the priority. Everything else can wait. Everything else can wait. Nobody is angrier than I am. Believe me. I've been doing this 2 decades. Do you know how angry you got to be at this for 2 damn decades? When you could have been sold out and been kicking it with a bunch of light-skinned coons or something like that. Do you realize how angry you have to be for that? But I'm not the only one. Nah, I might be the angriest, but there's a bunch of you who are close seconds, let me tell you. I might be number 1 angry, but there's a whole bunch of y'all qualify for number 2. A whole bunch of you. They hit the subway, they hit the Uber. Some of them came in from out of town. It's just like, Assemblyman Brisport, we came to see you. He's like, man, this is just supposed to be a little old school meeting. Can't we talk about the kids and the textbooks? No, we came to see you. We don't want to talk about anything else. We came to see you. On account of the fact that there is an issue that has been sorely neglected and everybody wants to play dumb about it, and we're just not playing dumb anymore. They literally out here killing folks on video, which is what I warned people was going to happen. I warned people that they were going to get more bold with it. I warned everybody then that that was not a fluke. That was the new normal. Everybody and their mama were talking about body cameras. Jason Black said this a decade ago after they killed Mike Brown. I said, all that body camera stuff, I said, dude, all they're going to be doing now is showing you getting killed in 4K because the fundamental structure has not been changed. The fundamental structure has not been changed. This is not a matter of not having enough evidence to prove that they've committed a crime against us. That's a stalling tactic they're using, hoping that you'll get up and go away at some point. But not because they are not aware of what they've done. Your black political class has been allowed to believe that all they got to do is sit up and show up and dance the Dougie. And then as long as they get support from the white leaders of the party, that they will be okay. This is what they've been conditioned to believe and accept. Now, so long as they take care of the white leaders of the white leaders of the party will take care of them. Well, at least that's what they told themselves. And then you take a look at Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush, and then you find out, oh, that's not exactly a truthful statement now, is it? Not exactly a truthful statement. We are going to get what we demand. If we make tremendous demands and then back it up, if we sit up here and show up and we are consistent, if we agitate, if we make some awkward moments, if we're not afraid to do that, then we'll get more. We'll get more. But we don't get to sit back anymore. Now, a lot of these folk out here have been lulled into a false sense of security. They've been lulled into thinking that they can just sit up here and say whatever and that we're really going to just let it go and just hope for the best. They're not used to us showing up for anything. The previous generations taught them that too, that, well, I mean, as long as they show up at the church once a year for the fish fry, then that's all they need. Please understand, they have been conditioned to think that they can get our support and do nothing. They have been conditioned to think that they can get our support and do nothing. That's what the civil rights generation taught them. The other thing is, nobody let them know what was actually going on. The civil rights generation didn't want anything. This is radically different from them to hear that we want something. We're actually demanding something. They're like, wow, this is new. Usually, folks, I want you to understand, for the last 60 years, the civil rights generation told them that they wanted jobs. They told them they wanted jobs and they wanted housing. And I'm not saying that housing is not an issue in New York. I'm not saying anything so naive or silly. The civil rights generation told them we need jobs and we need housing. And you know what? Back then at that time, they were correct. These were basic needs that were being denied. Shelter and income. We were frozen out of the economy. We were blacklisted, whitelisted, redlined. Basic needs were not being supplied. Basic needs were being denied us. So yes, I'm not saying that they were wrong for saying that 60 years ago. They were absolutely correct. But you know what? 60 years before that, what we needed was to have these damn shackles taken off of our ankles. 60 years before that, we needed being out of chattel slavery. Okay, 60 years after chattel slavery, we don't need to be talking about take the shackles off of our ankles anymore. 60 years after that, it's like, okay, we need housing. We need y'all to stop trying to freeze us out of jobs, stop economically terrorizing us, physically terrorizing us. So the things that we were talking about 60 years before 1965, that's not the things that we were talking about in 1965. Well, guess what? In 2025, we're not still discussing the same things we were talking about in 1965. We have a different set of requirements now. Okay, but nobody updated the list of demands. That's the problem. I'm saying that we got a different set of needs, but who updated the system of the list of demands? We let them folk think we're all right just like we are. Or at least that that's the only thing we still focusing on. We need jobs and housing. So every time they come talk to you, what do they come talking to you about? We want to raise the minimum wage. We want to all this stuff about jobs. While they're bringing in every illegal they can find, by the way. So they're even on that, they're neutralizing that. Talking about housing. Okay, folks, when they talk about housing, all they mean is they're going to bring in another multi-billion-dollar developer. Oh, look, we're going to go build some sky-rise luxury housing and we'll put a few affordable housing units in it. Ain't nobody trying to figure out how to build a subdivision in New York, an affordable subdivision. Ain't nobody trying to do that. So when you talk about jobs, let me see if we can get a few applications at McDonald's in Times Square. You talk about housing, let's see if we can build Hudson Yards and give you a few affordable units. While you're running around doing that, by the way, if we catch your ass on the street somewhere, we're going ahead and see if we can strangle you to death or something. So please understand how the list of needs and the list of demands has changed, but we have not articulated to them that's what it is. Remember the guy who talked about the rent is too damn high, colorful character. And once again, I'm not saying that what he said isn't accurate or isn't true, but do you see how the media seized on that? The media seized on that and they love that. The media loves to promote things like that because that's just more of the same. And what it influences people is that that's the only issue because that's the lie that the Democratic establishment and the political establishment and the media establishment wants to promote. Remember, 2023, Luther Campbell and them were down there in Florida talking about black folk didn't care about economics and reparations. The biggest issue was housing. Remember? Well, doesn't that sound damn familiar?
And deal with it.
Now, doesn't that sound damn familiar? The same thing that they were feeding you in New York, you go down there to Florida and they prop up Luther Campbell and their Democrat shills to say the exact same thing to you there. Oh, you don't need nothing but housing. By the way, folks, how's the housing situation working out in Florida for anybody right now who ain't making 7 figures a year? Folks down there in Florida done bought their damn houses and whatnot and found out you basically got a new mortgage all over again just to have insurance and HOAs and taxes on it. How's that housing thing working out in Florida for people who owned their homes and paid it off? How's that working for you? So isn't it very interesting that everywhere you go, the only thing they want to talk about when black folks show up is, okay, let's talk about a job and let's talk about some housing. And amazingly, when they talk to Asians, Jews, Arabs, Latinos, the conversation is not about jobs and housing. Now, isn't that interesting? If jobs and housing are so damn important, shouldn't it be important to everyone? And yet that's the only thing they discuss with you and me is, let's talk about housing that they're not building. If they do build it, it's going to be by Lennar or D.H. Horton, and it's going to be $500,000. So their housing solutions are not actually solutions. And that is by design also. So isn't that very interesting? The same things that they were saying to the civil rights generation, that's the only quote unquote solution that they offer to us today. That's not accidental. So us talking about what we talking about tonight, this is new. This is a curveball. They weren't used to it. They're not expecting it. They're expecting you to get back around to the basic issues that they're used to kicking the can down the road for. They're not used to something that, by the way, this does not lend itself to kicking the can down the road. A hate crime bill, a hate crime law does not lend itself to kicking it down the road. You don't get to do that. The need is too urgent. The issue is too blatant and the need is too urgent. Now you done messed around and let some folk kill this man on video. This is an issue that is not going to go away, and that's why we're striking now while the iron is hot. Jason, why you throw all this money to do all this? Because we got to strike on this now. And yes, I know there are other things that happen in other places. We cannot deal. If we were independently wealthy, if the civil rights generation had done what they were supposed to do and have been bull jiving and assing around, we would have more of us who would be independently wealthy, and maybe we could have an antidote to the Koch brothers. Because you got Bob Johnson and whoever else, Robert Smith or whoever else you want to talk about, and yet they're not doing what I'm doing here. Let's just call it for what it is. Folks who allegedly got so much more resources, they're not even doing what I'm doing here. Now you think about that for a few moments. The civil rights generation is checked out. There's only certain things they want to talk about and certain things they want to deal with. These folks got way more resources than Jason does, and they're not even doing what I'm doing here? Or maybe it's because they're afraid that if they did, well, the politicians might not look so favorably on the next damn pet project they want to do. I ain't got no pet projects like that I'm working on, or the ones I am working on, I'm not afraid to lose. But please understand, if we had a whole lot more, we'd be able to deal with all these issues in all these places, man. We wouldn't have to perform triage. What I was articulating to the first caller tonight, man, we got to practice triage. I wish we didn't, but our resources are not just limited, they're very limited. They're very threadbare. We need hundreds of millions of dollars. Hell, truthfully, we need billions of dollars just to campaign for our interests. And it shouldn't really require that, but you live in America, so it is what it is. But we need that, and we ain't got it. So I can't deal with everything. We can't focus on everything in every place because, man, we getting hit everywhere, dude. We getting hit everywhere. We getting hit in Texas. We getting hit in Florida. We getting hit in Georgia. We getting hit in California. We getting hit in Arizona. Man, we getting hit everywhere. There's nowhere that you don't have similar types of stories like this going on. We're getting hit all over the place. We don't have the resources to fight all these fires everywhere. We just don't. We don't. And that's just the brutal truth. We don't. So unfortunately, and I wish it were not that way, but unfortunately, we got to do triage. Take a look at how hard it takes us to fight to get anything focused on. Breonna Taylor, I did what I could there. They've been slow walking that. Botham Jean, I did what I could there. Okay, Amber Geiger went to prison, understood. Have you fixed the issue with the whole system in Texas? No. We dealt with that particular fire to the extent we could deal with that particular fire, but I haven't lost sight of the big picture. New York City, we haven't really dealt with much of anything up there. Akai Gurley, Eric Garner, Jordan Neely, we ain't really dealt with much of nothing in New York. Your so-called Democratic blue state bastion of Democrats, we ain't really dealt with anything up. We got more done in Texas than we did in New York. Do you realize that? We got more accomplished in Texas than we did in New York. So this is why I'm saying, okay, my call is I'm going to concentrate resources here. The media is taking a look at that. Even if they attempt to ignore it, too late. You've already done enough. Oh, the investigation's undergoing. Great. We're just going to add fuel to the fire. We're going to add fuel to the fire. And I want to get politicians. There's another thing right there. There's another thing. I want y'all to start making sure that you record your phone calls. It is not enough for you to call me up and whatnot. Y'all saw what I did last night. I need y'all to record your phone calls on these things. These politicians are talking and whatnot. Record your damn phone calls. Y'all are folk up there in New York. You pull up, cameras out, dude. Make sure you get this and document this. And don't be stumbling over your words. If you got to sit there in the car and practice it before you say it. Don't be jumping out and stumbling over your words. We've been talking about this now for decades. Hey, everybody's supposed to be ready when we jump out now. Everybody's supposed to be ready. You're supposed to be ready to run up, hit them with the questions like a damn newspaper reporter. You're supposed to be ready, cameras up. Go ahead and document the answer. You get it back to me, and then we're showing, okay, they're on the record here. Paperwork is on the record. They can't run from it later. James Clyburn was useless to them because he was on the record. Barack Obama was on the record. We're going to get everybody documented now. This is how you prevent them from coming back in the future and talking about they were for us or with us. We can sit here and show you, oh, no, you're against us. You've been against us. That's the way it works. I know you all didn't have a bunch of advance notice of what we're going to do here tonight. I know that what I've been doing this week, a lot of y'all, you heard me last week, and you might have thought to yourselves, Jason just talking, or we'll see what happens. As you can see, I've been very busy, and a bunch of other folk have been busy here with me. I'm not going to say a bunch of names. They know who they are. I've contacted them. We got folk out there, they're on the ground, but we're just getting started, which means everybody's going to need to put in their damn work. Everybody's going to have to get their stripes, and everybody got to put in their work. This is not to be handed off to other people. It's not going to be quote unquote okay. You're going to have to make it okay. And we just gotten started. This is just one. There's a bunch of others out there and whatnot. Okay, we're coming to see you too. So to all my riders who are out there, salute to all of you. To salute to all my riders who showed up tonight. Salute to everybody here who contributed here tonight. I know that's you speaking. The Supreme Court said that speech. My man, Mr. Foster, Rikai Media, thank you very much for your support here as well. We appreciate that. That's y'all speaking. Dixie, thank you very much. To everyone here, y'all been giving your speech tonight. I see you. I hear you. You know, if anything's going to change, this is how it's going to be done. We're just getting started. I am not anywhere near done. I'm not anywhere near through. I'm not anywhere near finished. We are just getting started. There will be more. There will be others. One more thing. Now that we've come out like we have, be aware they're going to be expecting us now. So that is one more element I want you to be aware of. They will now be expecting us, which means you must be more prepared. Your phone calls must be recorded. You meet them in person. You need cameras, phones out. You need to have your questions preloaded. Where do you stand on the black hate crime bill like the Asians have? Okay, I need to see the text of it. Okay, where do you stand on it in principle? Forget about a law. Where do you stand on the principle that we should have a black hate crime law specifically to protect us? Don't go on and on giving a bunch of details. Just ask that question just like I just said it right there. Shut up. Ask it and then hurry up and get quiet. We need to get them to talk because that's what we can use. You got to get them to respond. And if they attempt to dodge it and dance around it, that's what we're looking for. Remember what that did to Hillary Clinton back in 2018 and what it did to Bernie Sanders in 2020. Remember what it did to all these folk who thought they were going to dance around these things. They found out, no, you won't. You start dancing and we start playing. Do not expect MSNBC or CNN to go ahead and put these things out there because they don't want us to have anything. They are the enemy. And they're opposed to us, and that's okay. You got the new black media now, and all of you have your marching orders. Time to get, I told you that last night, I told you that yesterday, and I'm repeating it today. It's time to get to work. You see what I've been doing? I'm just getting started, and so are you. I want to thank all of you for tuning in tonight's program, especially those of you who are here live, the folks who are most diligent, the folks who are most militant, the folks who are most active. I see all of you. Paperwork is good on the yard, but remember, paperwork got to get updated, so everybody's got to put in their work. But thank you for showing up here. Thank you for contributing to tonight's program. To all of you here on Super Chat, Venmo. I have folks on Venmo, PayPal, everybody everywhere. Thank you very much for your support as well. This concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, to all of my brothers and all of my sisters from all around the world, remember, Black is the future, and the future is our mission.